Now the question is, when do we see an alt season? When does dominance top out? We're going to talk about dominance, Bitcoin dominance, where we are with the cycle of that, factors that could be for or against it, and what my plan actually is this cycle for what I'm going to do with the Bitcoin I've got laying around, which is about 72% worth of it. So, hello everyone. If you're new, subscribe and let me know in the comments, please. Are you heavy in Bitcoin or heavy in altcoin? That's all I want to know. Like I say, though, we are at a very, very interesting point with dominance, and we are at a new all-time high of Bitcoin, which is good to see, right? However, there's a lot of caveats to a lot of this. We have to look at the obvious fear and greed, 75 right now. In terms of the market percentage gains, Bitcoin has absolutely battered the world as per usual. And more importantly, we've got to look at the profitable days. If you've been holding Bitcoin, congratulations, you are winning because it is obviously 100% profitable because we're at all-time high. Clear and obvious. But when we look at time and the historic elements of this, there's a little cycle at play that always happens. It's called an altcoin cycle. It's called a Bitcoin cycle. And it's important to know when to be in one and when to be not in one, right? So if you are new and whatever I'm going to talk about will blow your brains, I do apologize. And if you want to ask questions in the comments, you can. But I will kind of question some beliefs. First thing we need to talk about is obviously, yes, we have had a rate cut. Kind of obvious, a bit of a nothing burger really, because we knew it was coming. 25 basis points, yeah, we're going to get a couple of these over the next couple of months. It's just the way it is. The reality is though, and I've talked about it many times, we are going into mania stage of the market. Right now, from Bitcoin lows and into where we're going to get a lot more traction and interest, and this will be backed up by other bits of data in a bit. The fundamentals, though, let's be honest here, and this shocked me. I was on the Learning Crypto live stream this morning, and I just flicked it on and went, ooh, that's a biggie. You know, that's a real big day of inflows. And it's not the greatest metric in the world, just talking about inflows, but it just tells us where the money is and where the money's coming into. And over time, spot ETF inflow is going to be very, very important, and it's going to create that scarcity, that supply and demand. But in terms of other things we need to talk about, it's pivotal that we have to talk about alt season. Because realistically right now, we're starting to get more and more altcoins into the green, which you can see here, the performance of the top 50 over the last 90 days. Yes, it is a lagging indicator, but it gives us an idea of where things are and what is actually underperforming or overperforming. So it kind of gives you that little bit of a preference of what's happening. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I've talked about dominance for a very, 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 very long time. Since 2018, 2017, probably even earlier. I've been talking about dominance. And certainly when the narrative of exchanges have all changed around, oh, let's just list everything in USD, people have forgotten about BTC as a pair, right? Now, one thing that happened and I didn't think would happen this cycle would Ethereum would collapse from, 20% down to like 13, 12%. It really has done bad. If you're an Ethereum holder, you'd know this, right? And that's what's led to dominance rise to a certain point. And it's made it pretty unbearable. But what is unbearable is the obvious thought process right now that Coinbase ranking is really jumping, right? And this is kind of the crux of it. Alt seasons happen when normies, retail people come into the market, in my opinion. What tends to happen is people like green things. Anything that's like really green, like the duster green, like you know, like a tramp on chips, so to speak, right? Or fly around shit. You know, you could talk about an asset that's doing shit. I could do a YouTube video about educating you on how to buy the perfect altcoin at the bottom, or to buy Bitcoin at 15k, which I did, by the way. Stuff like that is kind of like very much no one cares. But when you offer them, or a person, an individual, buy this altcoin like Solana that's up 200 gazillion %. Oh, I'll buy it now. Doesn't make sense. So let's talk about it, right? Before I go on though, my company, if you want to learn, genuinely want to learn, paid community that's unbelievable. We're going to be doing live courses soon as well. We do have an mental offer. We've been around for 6 years now. Amazing support. thank you, but we do have a massive offer. So if you want to get involved and learn a bit more, there's some educational videos coming as well. As I say, live courses, all that kind of good stuff is coming. But dominance, Bitcoin dominance is in a beautiful area. Right, open question. I'm going to tell you it anyways. Do I think we've topped? No. I think we're going to go a bit worse for wear in terms of this. I've got a feeling. The reason why I've got a feeling it's going to get worse is because we've had big aggressive spikes to the upside, which does create a bit of a rollover. Now, when we talk about Bitcoin, we are at roughly $76,000. I've often talked, and there's all kinds of posts about it, and I've got YouTube videos on it about $83 to $89,000, $85,000 in terms of where an obvious level of a clear break of all-time high could create a bit of a spark. Now, for obvious situations here, we have been pretty parabolic. Kind of obvious, I know. But the way I see it, I think we've got levels up here. 63 level could be an interesting level. When we zoom onto this sort of situation, as you can see here, where this grid, that to me looks more likely into where that 786 level is as well, where we could go a bit higher. And people are like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. But the reality is here, and this is where we need to be brutally honest with ourselves. There's no uptrend at the minute for any altcoin season to happen. We need to be very, very, very fucking patient, right? And I'm going to talk about other charts to kind of give you that metric. Now, if you want to buy the lows, crack on. But history tells us if the time to buy altcoins is kind of like, you know, if you're going to rotate your Bitcoin into altcoins, it's not here. It's not here yet. You need momentum, because I think personally my Satoshis are too valuable to lose. I don't want to lose them. I've lost enough of them this cycle. Fuck me. I mean, some of the shite I've held. Fuck. You know, it's just the way it is. Luckily, I've been clever enough to hold heavy Bitcoin to kind of hedge that. And if we're talking about hedges, does Ethereum go as low as we think? Does Solana do as well as we think? Does BNB get a bit of a run? Does Cardano finally fucking fix itself and go and rise like a phoenix from the flames? Probably not, but you get the idea, right? So when we're looking at this situation, we're looking at dominance, I think, to go higher, because I think Bitcoin hasn't had that bump yet. Yeah, we're at $76,000, woohoo, but we're only $2,000 above where it was in March, right? Well, as you can see, we've had halving. Cool. We're not even a year from halving yet. It could go much higher, much higher. So that could be a big facet, right? Obviously, we've got to look at this chart. This is a total 3/BTC. This is dominance, but the other way around. This is a total 3 of the BTC pairs. This is telling us, are the individual pairs of Bitcoin doing well? No, they're not. So that's telling us, right? What we need to have, realistically, is a genuine change of character. And I've talked about this in previous videos. We nearly had one here. So, oh, shit, we're going to go. We rejected, right? You need to wait for that uptrend to appear. And then when you're in with that sort of situation, it becomes so much easier to manage your portfolio. And you make some money, right? Realistically, you do. And that's the bottom line. You need to go with strength. And when we look at history, when we look at like these downtrends and these big, massive shoots to the upside. Now, let's be clear. Alt seasons are short, sharp, and sweet. They really are short, sharp, and sweet. And we have like a 3-year bear market, and we have like a 6-month to 1 year kind of craziness, right? But people who arrive late to the game always get stung. They always do, right? So for me, my plan, I am not touching any altcoin with my Bitcoin at all. Yes, I might buy altcoins with other bits and pieces or whatever scraps I've got laying around or whatever. But I don't think I'd ever like move Bitcoin into an altcoin right now. I don't think it's ready enough yet. For me, I'd rather sacrifice a couple of percentage on the upside here and know that the momentum's here. Because as you know with crypto, if you're new, you might not know this, but if you're existing, hello, when the momentum's here, it really is here, and it is very obvious. And that hype, like start of this year, for example, it was crazy. It was up for 3 months. It was madness. It was very, very easy just to put a trade on and just win because it was just going upwards. So that's a huge factor, right? So when we put into context, right, if Bitcoin does something remarkable, and that remarkable level is going up to like this 83,000 extension level here, that is going to get people to take notice. And then that's going to allow people to go, oh fuck, and overall people will be kind of caught out and in the wrong situation, thinking I'm too heavy in altcoins. Oh bugger, I don't have enough Bitcoin. I need Bitcoin. All that kind of stuff will happen, and it will make it very, very obvious to see that Bitcoin's going to carry on rising. Not to mention the Bitcoin ecosystem is really growing, and I think people have disregarded it. Runes and ordinals could be huge. There could be smart contracts coming on Bitcoin ecosystem as well. Blows your mind, right? So there's a lot of things happening, but this is a clear break. At the minute, 2 days, 12 hours to go. If this candle closes, it's very, very bullish. But it might lead more and more people looking at Bitcoin. As I've said before, look at the inflows, right? Fuck me. That is a monstrous day. That is a ridiculous day. So stuff like that will become a very, very big factor. Not to mention the news, the information that's coming out, the on-chain data, the volume metrics, right? But what's happening with altcoins? Well, most altcoins, realistically, BNB, right? BNB, BTC. Currently, right now, not looking great. When this starts moving, you're going to start noticing other things move. Why? Because it's obvious. Well, guess what? BNB is the biggest exchange. It's a monopoly, right? This was it at the start of the year when we had that big run. It will probably shoot up to the upside. That is a big telling sign. Look at Dogecoin. What's it been doing? It's been rising to the upside. Now, the reason why I'm using the BTC pairs is because that is a metric of the price of your altcoin. Forget USD, it's all about these pairs, right? The reality is some are underachieving. Stacks, for example, right now hasn't had its uptick yet, but it does get these big, massive bouts. Likewise with every other altcoin. It is called an alt season. So what you are waiting for, realistically, is Bitcoin to stabilize. Keyword, stabilize. In my opinion, we're going to shoot up first. There will be a point where Bitcoin will slowly chug, but everything will outperform it because everyone's mindset and psychological factors are Bitcoin's too expensive, I don't want it. And they don't quite understand the fact that, well, actually altcoins, you diminish over time. And you do. It's just the way it is. If you have been buying altcoins, and I've said this in my previous video, feel free to subscribe. If you're buying altcoins at anything after that date, technically none of your altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin. Very, very few have in terms of over that course of time. Even Solana. If you bought Solana on that date, you would have, your Bitcoins, you wouldn't have made much Bitcoin at all, if anything. If you bought at $8, $10, yeah, you would, but it's obviously timing's key. The fundamentals are very, very clear here. We need to wait for the uptrend to appear. But do I think we're going to get an alt season? Yeah, of course we are. Will it be as glamorous as the other ones? I don't know. Will utility move more than meme coins? Don't know. Meme coins for me, community and hype is just that generic element. It's very, very popular. Very, I talked about in my Learning Crypto live stream this morning, right? We do live streams on our memberships. And I just looked at Dog with Hat. Where is it? There it is. So I looked at Dog with Hat. Random example. Never had a bull market, a proper bull market ever. But it's just cruising at 473 million volume. That is a coin that is just a dog with a hat. It blows my mind. So this market has really evolved into something that's a little bit different. Technology and the utility side of things may not be here for about 5 to 10 years potentially in terms of mainstream adoption. But as a community, as a tradable asset that could be valued, it's very much there. And that's what's scary. And I think that's why alt season is going to be very, very, very interesting to see. Now, the ultimate question is, if we do go higher, where does it stop? Well, that depends on how high Bitcoin goes and how aggressive. If Bitcoin is very aggressive in its move, it will go up because I don't think altcoins will keep up with it. When it does stabilize, as I say, it will probably drop. But where does it drop to? Because we've got a lot more altcoins versus one BTC. But that BTC asset is so powerful and so strong and such a network, it's going to be very interesting. The question is, will we ever go below this level? Now, the previous cycle proved no. We didn't go below the previous low. Diminishing returns of this side? Probably. Diminishing returns on the upside? Probably, yeah. It'd be very interesting to see, will we go to, say, 65, 66% and then drop down to, say, 50? That would be interesting. It would be an alt season, but it may not be as aggressive as some people think. There's so many things to this that's ridiculous, and it all depends on the big three. Ethereum, does this recover? Don't know. Not looking great at the minute. It's having a bit of a bounce, but at the minute it's still early days. What does BNB do? Wow, it could go higher. The biggest exchange. Does Solana go even higher? This is all-time high right now. Solana looks undervalued. It could be going way towards its all-time highs and into a big market capitalization number. At the end of the day, it's only a 3 or 4x away from flipping Ethereum right now. That could be huge news. So there's so many unanswered questions. But for me, if you are thinking about investing with your Bitcoin, I'd wait a little bit longer just to be safe. I think if we're going to get an alt season like normality, and let's just talk about, if we're going to go from here, from this breaker structure here, let's not go from the bottoms because that's unfair. Let's just go from this pull back into this level of structure. Even if we're going to look at that, right, that is already, like, in terms of the ferocity of that move, that is a 63-day move. Obviously going up to the highs, and obviously it's quite a long distance. But when we're thinking about the ferocity of these moves, by the way, it really is an alt season right at the end, the last gasp element, where literally from, you can see here, from the 15th of March 2021 to the market top of nearly let's just say January, because a lot of things did top out a bit late. That is only a 294-day period. But even that period, you had some aggressive pullbacks. You do not have time. But at the end of the day, most of the money is made when, you've got that conviction of buying and having some units as low as you can, but don't go all in. Because I think the one thing that we've learned about charts like this, you can go all in and get absolutely burnt. And, we've seen it before. Many times we've been trying to break out of this downward trend, but actually it's failed. Once it does, it will kind of roar. But there's a lot of unanswered questions. Anyways, that's my opinion on it. Enjoy.